We're back again to Module 4 for Part 2. We will continue to discuss nutrition and talk about intake and output. The objectives for this part are to identify observations and signs or symptoms to report relating to fluid balance. Describe how to convert ounces to milliliters. Describe the nurse aide's role in enteral tube feedings. It's not tub, it's tube. As a nurse aide, you may be asked to record an intake and output on a resident. Intake is the fluid a person consumes, while output is the fluid that is eliminated. Nurse aides will be in charge of recording totals for their shift so a 24-hour collection can be obtained. Ideally, the intake and output, abbreviated I and O, should be similar so the resident remains and maintains their fluid balance. Output includes urine, feces, and emesis. It must be a liquid. Urine will be measured and as recorded as milliliters, as well as an emesis, the medical term for vomit. Feces will be recorded as the approximate size. Sometimes nurse aides will need to convert intake and output into total number of milliliters. 1 ounce is equal to 30 milliliters. If a resident consumes a 4-ounce glass of juice, the nurse aide will take 4 ounces times 30 milliliters. That would equal, it's right there, 120. 120 milliliters is 4 ounces. Sometimes it may be easier to multiply the 30 milliliters by just using 3 times the number of ounces and then adding a 0 onto the final answer. For example, 8 ounces of milk could be multiplied by 3 instead of 30. 8 times 3 is 24, and then add a 0 at the end, and it's 240 milliliters. Cups are typically used for food intake that is liquid, such as tomato soup. Remember, 1 cup is equal to 8 ounces. A half a cup would then be 4 ounces. A quarter of a cup is half of half, or 2 ounces. If you add 1/4 plus half a cup, you would get 3/4 cup. 2 ounces plus 4 ounces is 6 ounces. When in doubt about conversion, ask for help. You should double check your math, as in always with math, and make sure intake and output is always written down and recorded. Here are the foods that are considered fluids. Either they become liquid at room temperature or they've been thickened. Ice cream, yogurt, broth, and soup, pudding, and jello are considered fluids. Water is one of the most important nutrients for life. Humans typically need 64 ounces of water or other fluids every day. Dehydration is a serious condition that occurs when a person does not have enough fluid in their body. This slide gives examples of the signs or symptoms of dehydration: severe thirst, dry mouth and mucous membranes, cracked lips, sunken eyes, a decrease in output, urine of output, and dark urine. The opposite is fluid overload. And that condition occurs when more fluid enters the body than is eliminated. This occurs because of heart, kidney, or lung dysfunction. Examples of signs and symptoms to report to the nurse are weight gain. Some people can put on 3 pounds a day of just fluid. Difficulty breathing or shortness of breath could indicate there's fluid in the lungs or outside of the lungs. Swelling of the extremities, such as the lower legs and hands. Non-productive coughing. Decreased urine. Swollen abdomen. Doctors may prescribe a fluid restriction to residents with fluid overload. This means following a strict fluid intake diet. Some people may be only able to consume 1,200 milliliters of fluid each day, including the foods that are considered fluids. How many ounces is that? 1,200 milliliters. This is the example you would have to do some division. 1,200 divided by 30 equals 40 ounces. We normally need 64. Enteral tube feedings. Enteral means enteral means in the GI tract. Parenteral is outside of the GI tract. Enteral tube feedings allow people to be fed through a tube that gives them nutrition that normally is taken from food. A nasogastric tube is a type of enteral tube feeding. It's placed down the nose and dropped into the stomach. Some reasons for these type of, I'm going to back up to gastrostomy, which is a PEG tube. A gastrostomy is placed surgically, and that goes directly to the stomach. A nasogastric is not placed surgically. Some reasons for those tubes to be placed are due to surgery that prevents normal consumption of food, if there was a trauma to the neck or the airway. A recent stroke can leave a person unable to swallow, and so to get food we need to have a tube placed. Or if someone has severe malnutrition and they're not eating. A nurse aide should always keep a bed raised if a person is in bed getting a tube feeding, at least 30 degrees. Just think of when you're eating. You need to be sitting upright. Report any changes that you notice around where the tube is inserted. If there's redness or drainage, right away let the nurse know. This is concluding our short module, part 2 of Module 4.